dog several times a week, several evenings a week, and Alan does the rest. But I'm a keen walker, I'm a keen rambler, and we see the ramblers going past our house up to the forestry, and often you wish you could join them, but you're always doing something politically rather than doing something like that. But I try and keep fit with walking the dog as much as possible.
Yeah. They take up a bit of time, don't they, these rambles? I'm always tempted. I think it's the forward planning. Sometimes I do find myself with a couple of hours.
Well, some of the evening ones are only about 2 hours. We did one from Mumbles the other week, and it's only started right in the centre of Mumbles by the Oyster Wharf development, walks along to the lighthouse and up Mumbles Hill.
And how many pubs are there along that route?
Less than there used to be.
All right. Oh, you could be a politician.
The evening walks are a nice way for people who've never walked before to come out with us, spend a couple of hours and see what walking's like. They'll enjoy it.
Therapeutic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, and the details of these walks are on our website, Swansea Ramblers, so just Google that and check the walks.
So are there any evening walks coming up for someone who might be interested in getting involved?
Not for a couple of weeks, but there's a Monday walk, a week Monday, a shorter walk, and then it's that following week. So we'll perhaps feature that on next week's programme if we're on.
Okay, so the Monday one's in the daytime, and then the week after it'll be on a Wednesday. Next week we'll tell a bit more about that.
Oh, great. Lovely. Thank you. Shall we have a little look at what happened on this day?
That's a good idea.
So, obviously, 2nd of June, like we said, we're going to start in 1850, the birth of Jesse Boot, the chemist. What do you think he did, Gaynor?
Oh, right, Boots.
Yeah. So, philanthropist and founder of Boots, the chemist.
1850, all right. So, do you know when Boots actually began?
Oh, now you're asking. No, sadly, no.
I think it was quite a small shop, wasn't it, Boots, when they started? It was just the one shop he set up.
I was reading the history of it in Boots' shop in Swansea the other day, funnily enough.
All right.
Okay.
Tell us more.
They started off with 1 or 2 shops, and then gradually, towards the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th, it expanded rapidly. Then, so that was when it really took off.
Did it start off in London? Did it? Was it?
Nottingham.
Oh, Nottingham. Oh, that's interesting. That's one of those few things that sort of constants that we've got left in our town centres, isn't it, Caroline? Boots. Woolworths has gone.
I remember the old Thomas and Evans.
Oh, yes.
Great, all the little shops which then led on to supermarkets.
Yeah.
Well, Boots is so much more than a chemist, isn't it? Now
Well,
it's
it is,
meal deals and everything.
Sometimes I think that's the trouble. Why not stay at what you're good at? Because there was a real cachet about Boots the chemist, wasn't it? I remember my mother always told me, if you're buying something, don't buy the big name brand, always buy the Boots brand. It's just as good.
Yeah, it is true.
Let's go
Moving on, 1953, the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II took place in Westminster Abbey in London. Obviously, a huge deal, but in more recent years, obviously, I think we can all remember in 2012 the start of the 4-day celebrations to commemorate the Queen for her Diamond Jubilee.
It rained and rained, didn't it?
It did.
And of course, they're warning people that with all the security and everything, that tomorrow not to be too alarmed in Cardiff because they're going to set off, whatever you do, this 21-gun salute. Well, it's obviously not everyone's going to know. It's going to be a bit.
No.
I don't know how appropriate
quite
that is, really.
frightening,
That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Well, that's a great segue for the next one. We're sticking with football. 1985, the Union of European Football Association, UEFA, announced an indefinite ban of English football clubs from taking part in any European competitions after continued hooliganism for... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the fans travelling abroad, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland were exempt from the ban. The ban was then taken away in 1990. But it's actually, I think, football has come on leaps and bounds when it comes to this.
They seem to have sorted that now, don't they? I'd quite forgotten about it, really, but it used to be a real concern, didn't it? And gave us such a bad name. How did they go about sort of sorting it out?
I think that obviously European football is a huge thing, and by taking that away from the British, the clubs in England, and saying you're not even going to be involved in these tournaments, it kind of, I guess, made the fans go, well, obviously we care more about the club and they have to do well and succeed. So I guess it was phased out.
And all-seater stadiums, of course, were introduced as well. That made it easier to control the crowds as well. So I think it's a combination of those things, really. And really, football clubs appeal to family audiences, really.
Of
course, yeah.
Which is good. This is great.
Yes, and women. We had the women's finals last night, didn't we? In Cardiff?
We did, Paris Saint-Germain versus...
It's such a festival and spectacle. Cardiff's really sort of en fête, isn't it, for the weekend? So.
And this is the thing as well. it's 90 minutes of football, but actually I think Cardiff have had a weeks-long festival of things going on and bands and everything, and it really is a spectacle for kind of the world to look what's going on, I guess.
And it's really putting Wales, to the forefront. And of course, it's Cardiff, okay, but it really benefits Swansea and everywhere else, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And lots of people just come to Cardiff for the long weekend, as it were, and then they're going to other parts of Wales. So it's really great.
It does put us on the map.
We all could be ambassadors for our country, haven't we?
And the TV coverage, I think, is 1.3 billion people will be watching it on the radio this morning, worldwide.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The only problem is going to be getting in and out of Cardiff, isn't it?
We got in quite easily last night, mind, I got to be honest, at 5:30.
Okay.
So there was no problem at all with the traffic.
It's going to be a different story tomorrow.
Well, you're going to be there tomorrow, aren't you?
I'm taking a group of Turkish tourists around Cardiff.
Excellent.
I'm quite confident about taking them around Cardiff, but I'm a bit concerned about getting into Cardiff. Anyway, it's going to be fun, and I'm not a football fan, but I'm really looking forward to being part of the atmosphere,
I think it's well organised.
We're going to get the water bus from the bay to the city centre, because I couldn't think of any other way of
That's a great way to
getting
get
into
about.
town.
That's a good way, yeah.
And you can see the
Excellent.
stadium as you come in, so...
You'll be fine.
In the final moments, we'll have one more. 1857, Edward Elgar, the English composer, was born in Lower Broadheath near Worcestershire. Obviously, this is close to my heart, as I'm a Midlands boy, and Edward Elgar was kind of talked about a lot in school while I was growing up. So obviously,
me too.
One of the best known compositions and stuff. So
renowned throughout the world, isn't he?
Definitely, Edward Elgar.
Yeah, so...
And finally, 1989, the Dead Poets Society starring Robin Williams premieres, and obviously that's a cult classic for so many people. I'm sure if anyone fancies watching the film tonight, there you go. Because Caroline's here, obviously we have to show the candidates for... Oh, we haven't got them. Well, next
but there are
we're
other
gonna look at today's
candidates.
papers.
Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Gaynor Morgan. With me is Henry Darby-Kirk, and Caroline Jones, the UKIP candidate for Aberafon, is still with us. Thank you, Caroline.
Liz Gaines has joined us as well. Liz, you're going to lead us through the papers today?
Yes, I am. We're going to start off with the Times, and I'm going to start off straight away with a video of France's President Macron. We must all know by now, Trump has decided to pull out of the Wales climate deal. So
Paris climate deal,
to say Wales, World, the 2015 World Climate Deal. I meant to say that, yes. So we're going to go straight into him first and see what he has to say.
Straight to the point, isn't it?
Yes.
Climate change is one of the major issues of our time. It is already changing our daily lives, but it is global. Everyone is impacted. And if we do nothing, our children will know a world of migrations, of wars, of shortage. A dangerous world. It is not the future we want for ourselves. It is not the future we want for our children. It is not the future we want for our world. Today, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, announced his decision to withdraw the United States from the Paris Agreement. I do respect this decision, but I do think it is an actual mistake, both for the US and for our planet. We will succeed, because we are fully committed. Because wherever we live, whoever we are, we all share the same responsibility. Make our planet great again.
Yeah, quite a guy, isn't he?
Yes, as he said, it's to do with the future, isn't it? And now we shall hear about what Trump's reasons were for actually pulling out.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris. The Paris Climate Accord is simply the latest example of Washington entering into an agreement that disadvantages the United States. The Paris Accord would undermine our economy, hamstring our workers, weaken our sovereignty, impose unacceptable legal risk, and put us at a permanent disadvantage to the other countries of the world. We don't want other leaders and other countries laughing at us anymore, and they won't be. They won't be. It is time to exit the Paris Accord and time to pursue a new deal that protects the environment, our companies, our citizens, and our country.
Wow.
Hard to follow that, isn't it?
Exactly. Considering he's saying about their workforce and that, when I've looked online and that, and I've looked into it, solar jobs have grown 17 times the rate than the economy, and that's obviously all within America. The wind technician jobs are the biggest growing jobs, and 2.6 million jobs are within the clean energy. Now, is it the fact that he's on about the workforce, or is it the money that, as the richer countries, have to put into the poorer countries?
Cynics might suggest that he doesn't read his briefs, doesn't he? And he can't absorb a brief, and then he just makes a policy on the hoof. Well, we don't know, do we? But Caroline...
I think what I'd have to do in these circumstances is really, because this has only come about today.
But UKIP Wales agrees with Trump, don't they? Isn't that right?
Well, Neil Hamilton has said that, apparently has said, I haven't heard it myself. Are you choosing your words carefully, Caroline? He agrees with Trump and the climate change agreement. And in UKIP policy, it does say about climate change that the poorer people in this country are being disadvantaged by the green taxes imposed on everyone, really. And they feel that the lower scale of people, financially
Economically.
are being taxed unfairly, really.
It's like any system.
They're looking at that system, and I think that if you could sort of take into consideration a lot of the poorer people, paying these taxes, then,
Now, you're the prospective candidate for Aberafon.
Yes.
You live cheek by jowl with Port Talbot.
I actually live in Aberafon. I live in Port Talbot.
Isn't it a nonsense to do anything to try and undermine...
the steelworks, obviously, there are certain times I close my windows in the house, and as you go further down into Port Talbot, you can feel your nose and your throat, becoming sort of, your breathing is poorer. So the air quality is not as good. So, and the felling of forests, which cause, the mudsliding and so on. So there are a whole lot of issues. I'm not a scientist by any means. So there are a whole lot of issues to be taken into consideration. Donald Trump has now said he's willing to renegotiate. So we really don't know.
But nobody wants to negotiate with him.
The final,
and what is the
we don't know what the
renegotiation?
final stance is going to be. So, so there are lots and lots of issues to look at.
I think possibly the bigger thing coming out of all this is really not to do with climate change, but Macron is really coming forward as quite a powerful leader, whereas the emphasis has always been on Merkel, hasn't it?
Yes, that's very true.
And he really does seem to have something about him.
Yeah,
other interesting things as well, obviously, North Korea have even agreed to this.
This is it, exactly. The only two that haven't is Syria and Nicaragua, but Nicaragua hasn't because they wanted a better deal, as in to lower it even more.
Yeah,
That's
more.
why they pulled out. So it's only actually Syria that haven't. Now, to think that they've managed to get all these together, unite, but yet America, or Trump, I should say, wants to actually pull out of that. Now, that's segregating, and this is why a lot of Americans are opposed to it.
Well, this is the thing as well. Internally, he's going to have issues with... I mean, industry giants have already come out to say, we are not standing with Trump.
No.
Nike, Facebook,
Yeah.
I think Apple
Disney,
have just...
chief executives as well.
Disney are saying we will still abide by what everyone else is
The
doing.
mayor of Pittsburgh doesn't want to be associated with it.
No, exactly. They've continued to say that within their businesses, they'd rather a clean environment, so they're going to continue the way that they are. So this is why I'm saying, is it Trump just saying that he doesn't want to send that money, which and it's been billions they've sent, mind, to the poorer countries, but that then is to help them to lower the ozone rate and that. But without that money going to them, how are they meant to do it? So we may be cleaner on this end, but then the poorer countries aren't going to be able to.
I think the only consolation is that doesn't the Paris Climate Change Agreement come in after the next election in America, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
But still,
Hopefully you won't be able to do
the
it.
wheels have got to be put in motion, haven't they?
Yes,
So,
that's true. That's true. And tomorrow now, as we all know, it's the Champions League final.
Is it?
Sorry, gosh, I know.
Oh, no one's mentioned that.
Just popped on Cardiff, you'll soon notice.
You will.
Yeah, they've done a lot in preparation for tomorrow, and I got a little short video just to show what's been going on.
Let's have a little look. Wow. A lot's going on.
I know, it's going to be a big, exceptionally big day tomorrow. And like you originally mentioned, Swansea is going to be part of it. Everywhere is going to be part of it. It's not just going to be Cardiff. The only thing is that people that want to be part of it, which has come out today, is the homeless people. The police have asked them to move out. Now, they haven't asked them to move out and place them anywhere. They've just said they literally have to go, so they have nowhere to go. And this is a big problem and a worry and a concern for not just the homeless people, but the people that tend to go there, feed them, clothe them and that. Even a little child had said, she's put something up saying it's awful. We've got a quick video
We haven't got time, but it's obviously something that needs to be dealt with and looked at.
Definitely. And hopefully they'll find somewhere to rehome them. That's what
That's really, really bad.
That's bad. It's appalling,
Yeah.
and homelessness is a concern of mine. And I mean, I've been banging the drum about this for an awful long time.
Thank you, anyway.
Awful.
Thank you. Anyway, just before we go to the break, Caroline's with us, but there are other candidates for Aberavon, and they're on your screen now.
Next, we're going to be staying with Caroline Jones, and we're going to be talking all things UKIP and Aberavon. Stay with us at Bay TV. back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Henry Darby Cook. This is Gaynor Morgan. We're still with Caroline Jones, the UKIP candidate for Aberavon.
Caroline, should we talk about the big debate?
Yes, all right, fine.
How do you think it went?
I think that the debate went very well for Paul Nuttall. I think that he's emerging as time goes on as a strong leader. I voted for Paul to become leader, so I was pleased when he did become leader. And I think as time goes on, people are getting more used to seeing Paul as himself instead of being in the shadow of Nigel Farage.
Time isn't on your side, is it, really?
Time isn't on our side, no. It's been a very quick election, and Paul was thrust into the limelight, really, as the leader. He was our new leader, but I think he's doing very well. And I think people are warming to him as time goes on. He's saying things as they are.
They're also warming to Jeremy Corbyn, aren't they?
They are, indeed they are. I think that Theresa May was personally wrong in calling this election. It's cost £120 million. She's gambled and she's wasted a year. The Brexit negotiations should have been ongoing, and we should have been sort of halfway through now, coming out.
But some people felt that really the referendum wasn't enough in itself as far as Brexit is concerned, and that the country needed a general election.
I disagree. I totally disagree with that, because she had the mandate from the people, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. And instead of that, she wasted a year and then called an election, which she said she wasn't going to do. So I think she's a Remainer. She always will be a Remainer. And what I say to people in this election, it's not simply Corbyn versus May and so on. The smaller parties have a part to play, and when you're electing,
the smaller parties played a blinder, didn't they? UKIP, in fairness, if that's what it is, played a blinder. Very, very small country, changed the whole course of history, really. Yeah, but despite having nearly 4 million votes, we had one MP for that, which shows that the voting system just favours two parties, and you always will have a two-party state as long as the voting system remains predominantly first past the post, really. So with proportional representation, it does show that people's views are reflected in the number of MPs you get. For example, the SNP had 1.5 million votes, and they had 54 MPs. We had almost 4 million votes. We had one MP. But you got what you wanted.
Somewhere, we have got what we wanted. In the Assembly, we've got people, that have got there through proportional representation. I'm one of them. I'm grateful for that.
You got what you wanted in terms of Brexit, and yet
we got what we wanted. Yeah, but. People say there's no point in UKIP after the Brexit, but you don't say that to a student who's achieved 3 A's at A level. You don't say, you've achieved what you wanted now, so what's the point of you going on? You push for better things, for bigger things. You go to university and so on. So I compare it with that.
What are the bigger, better things for UKIP?
The bigger and better things, gaining more MPs to represent them fully regarding Brexit, because I think with Theresa May, as I said, being a Remainer, she's always going to be a Remainer. You need representation from the smaller parties to promote democracy.
How can you criticise Theresa May for being a Remainer and yet doing, it appears, her level best to institute what the people voted for and what you wanted?
No, I don't think she has done her best, actually, in calling this election. I think that was going back on her word in so many ways. And we could have spent the £120 million for this election on so many better things. Social care is on its knees, the healthcare NHS is on its knees, and we've got homelessness in the 21st century and nurses living out of food banks. So there's something radically wrong.
Aren't you more concerned possibly that Jeremy Corbyn is actually closing the gap, and we could have a hung parliament? I mean, Labour could even win. What is it, 2, 3, 4 points?
I think that you can look at Theresa May and that rests solely on her shoulders.
Are you saying that's possible then?
Yeah, it is possible, I think. She's been careless she had the mandate and she's called a general election. So all of this is on her shoulders.
So on June the 9th, we wake up. What's a success for UKIP?
What's the success? I would hope that we would get some MPs in to represent people. As I said, that's democracy. You need representation across the board, from smaller parties, from larger parties, whoever they may be. That's democracy. And you can't have democracy in a two-party state. So you have to have the smaller parties to balance the equation, so to speak.
What's the feedback you're getting in Aberavon?
Very good, actually. Obviously, because I'm in the Assembly, I campaign only on a Saturday. But the feedback that I'm getting is that people are taking my leaflets, they are looking at it, and I've had feedback from the leaflets that have gone out. People have contacted me and asked me for a poster in their window, which, has been very encouraging. So that's good. We know with the first past the post system, it is very difficult to gain any MPs, because it is first past the post. But we're optimistic, and we're optimistic for the future. For the next general election in 5 years' time, we'll have had more time to prepare, as everyone else would have. But this was a snap election, 8 weeks to prepare, and I think it caught everyone on the hop. And everyone said Theresa May has played a blinder, because I think she had a 40-point lead at that time. It's diminishing day by day. And I just think she's gambled with the whole future. And she's caused a lot of uncertainty and animosity between Remainers and Brexiteers.
Well, I think...
So, I don't like that.
Some people might suggest that UKIP caused a lot of division.
I think there's always going to be division when people disagree. It's like when an MP is voted in, some people voted for that MP, others didn't. So you're always going to have that, and one side blaming another and saying, they're good, or no, they're not so good, and so on. So you're always going to have that. And regarding the information regarding Brexit, well, when you go to the polls, to elect an MP, you don't then have a second referendum to say, I don't like that person, so 48% of us disagreed with that, so can we now go and have another election? It doesn't work like that.
So what's the best outcome of the election from your perspective, from UKIP's perspective?
I want to see a person in that position who will fulfil Brexit. Fulfil all the requirements.
They're all sort of different tiers of Brexit, aren't they?
A good negotiator that will get the best deal for Wales. I'm passionate about my country, but you have to look at the UK as a whole, because if one part fails, then it's not looking so good for us. We're in it together.
But I know Wales voted to come out of Europe,
yeah.
But Wales has been a net beneficiary of Europe, and certainly farming and the poorer elements of farming cover 80% really of farming, and they've all been net beneficiaries.
Well, we say net beneficiaries, and of course, with saving the £55 million a day for the membership fee, we are going to have a significant pot of money in Westminster.
Do you think that any new government is going to pour that back into the hills of Wales?
Yes,
into the hills of Wales.
If I was an MP, and even as I am now as an Assembly member, I will be fighting for every single penny to come to Wales.
I think you're going to have to.
I will fight. I will. I really will, because I want to see Brexit, but I want the best deal for Wales. And I think she's wasted a year in good negotiating time. She's wasted a year, Theresa May, in bringing about this Brexit action.
If Jeremy Corbyn were to be Prime Minister on June the 9th, what would be your message?
Well, then I would say to Jeremy Corbyn, the people have voted to leave. You are duty-bound, really, to go through with Brexit. And I think it's in everyone's interest that you have the best negotiating terms that you can, and that you look after the people who have put their trust in you and elected you to do that job.
Europe has changed a lot since we had the referendum. I mean, we saw Macron on a clip just earlier.
Yeah.
He's becoming a powerful leader.
Yeah, he's turning out a lot better than I thought, actually. When I listened to him speaking there, he was quite convincing. And I think he has an impressive image, shall we say. So I think he's got this professional image that he portrays, and I hope that he does his best by the French people.
They're going to be powerful adversaries in any negotiations.
Yeah.
Well, we've given it a good run through, haven't we, Henry?
We have.
I enjoyed it. I always enjoy coming on here, though, don't I, anyway? So
Enjoy the rest of your campaigning, and
Thank you very
we'll see what
much.
happens on June the 9th, really.
We'll
I
see,
think
yeah.
it's going to be interesting times, isn't it?
It is. It is.
And this,
Yeah.
this weekend's going to be a great weekend, so don't forget about politics, perhaps.
we'll see.
Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
because, of course, Caroline's with us today, here are the other candidates for Aberavon. Take a good look at them.
After the break, we're inviting Keith Milward to the sofa and we're talking what's on in the coming weeks. We'll see you soon.
Oh, I look forward. Welcome back to Today on Bay TV. I'm Gaynor Morgan and we're now with Keith Milward.
I couldn't think of a better way to finish off our week, Keith, than having you on the sofa giving us a big smile.
Oh,
You always put us in a good mood.
Well, happy to be here. And firstly, I want to say how sorry I'm regarding Angelicus Celtis last night, that they didn't get through to the final round of Britain's Got Talent. They were so delightful when I interviewed them yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple of members were on the sofa yesterday, weren't they, with you?
Yes. And of course we were rooting for them, and they did do extremely well. I loved their performance. You know, to see such fresh young female faces and to hear their lovely voices. You know, I thought they were on to a winner. But I said while they were here and said afterwards that to me that they've already won because of life's experience. You know, for the age from 12 to 16 of the ages of the girls. And I was saying, you know, when it comes to having the experience of going to London, to going to Birmingham, singing for the public, having this experience of meeting the television crew and coming here, and as well as
it's a career boost in itself.
It really
isn't
is,
it?
and I was saying that whatever career they go into, doesn't have to be the performing arts, that it does give that confidence, and it's something for them to remember and talk about all their days.
Well, last night's semi-final was live, wasn't it, on ITV?
It was.
I think Britain's Got Talent, the live semi-finals, are like one of the most watched things in Britain, aren't they?
Yes,
so.
well, we've still got Matt Edwards is involved, and of course Matt Edwards was in the pantomime.
Yeah.
He came here, and
he was great, wasn't he?
Yes, he's great. So we must keep rooting for him.
We've got it.
Yes.
Just goes to show it all starts here.
It does, yeah, definitely. We taught them all they know. So, yes, talking Grand Theatre, I should say ELO again, or ELO again, because it's the Electric Light Orchestra, and it is called ELO again at the Grand tonight, and because this is the Blue Tour, they're calling it, and of course all the songs, The Living Thing and Mr. Blue Sky, it's all thrown in. I think we've got to...
I think you're going to have to sing it for us.
Don't hold me back, I could carry on. So there's the ELO, that's tonight, and then tomorrow it's that'll be the day. And this is a tour which has been going on for 30 years. They must be doing something right, isn't it? You know,
definitely.
So it's all the songs from the 50s up to the 70s, you know. So
and you know all of those as well.
So I've given you a song at last. So that's tomorrow night. And coming up within the next few weeks, we've got the Corey Band with some of our Welsh favourites, and that's Craig Gallivan and Wyn Evans, who we know from the Go Compare adverts, isn't it? And also Craig Gallivan from Stella, and Di Botcher is Auntie Brenda from Stella. They're all in this concert, the 17th of June, in the Grand Theatre with the Corey Band, and that's going to be a must. And so is Footloose, which is coming the week after, and that's got Maureen Nolan and Gareth Gates as well.
Right.
So I know that there's some films around whether that's able to be shown.
Let's have a little look.
Yes, please, we can get down some of this.
We can hardly keep you in your seat then.
And the one potato and all. Oh dear. Yeah, that's going to be great, isn't it? You know, and yes, we should say about what's on in the locality otherwise. And I've been Port Talbot, and we come back to Britain's Got Talent because those who came third in Britain's Got Talent a few years ago, Richard and Adam, and they are there on the 9th, which is a week today, isn't it? So they are known for their album, The Impossible Dream, which was the most successful album in the classical charts for a whole year.
Wow.
A few years ago. So Richard and Adam.
I think we've got a clip of this.
Oh, that's great.
Shall we have a little look?
Yes, that'd be rather nice.
Unreachable, the unreachable.
Wonderful entertainment.
2 Welsh lads, of course, from Holywell. So it's great to see so much Welsh talent, and it's still coming through, isn't it? So, and then we go to Cardiff then, and I'm off to see Madagascar tonight. I've been with all the children. I know, but it's a musical adventure, and it's been shown in New York. It's been in Radio City Music Hall. So,
you booked your parking place.
Oh,
Very difficult getting into Cardiff.
I know. I think I'd be probably walking a few miles to get to the parking way out of Cardiff. So that's on until tomorrow, and then a chiller next week. Have you known of The Woman in Black? Have you seen it?
That's quite an old one, isn't it?
It is. It's
been
going for
this.
2 or 3 decades in London, and it's a 2-hander. Oh, there may be more because there's ghosts, and yes, it's a real chiller. It has been to the Grand Theatre, but next week it's in the New Theatre in Cardiff, and it really is. It starts off quietly, and then it becomes quite chilling. And one of my friends, who's really quite tough, really, and he was virtually sitting in my seat when something happened, shall we say?
I think when this first came out, it was the first theatre performance to have an age rating. Is that correct?
Oh,
I read somewhere.
And obviously
it's had interesting. Obviously Daniel Radcliffe did a version.
Yes,
for
I
the
really do like
well.
the film. I really do. Yes, but the show, the play has to be
so not for the faint-hearted.
Not for the faint-hearted. Yeah. So that's about the lawyer obsessed with the curse of the woman in black, and so such an atmosphere. It's a Cardiff New Theatre, and if you want something lighter in Cardiff, there's the Welsh National Opera, and there's 2 productions that they're putting on back to back, and that's De Fledermaus, which is beautiful. I had the honour of directing that a few years ago for Cadoxton Opera, and when I directed it, I fell in love with the piece. It's champagne and they're wonderful.
Is there your talents, Keith?
Oh dear, I don't know. And Rosencavalier is the other production that's playing with the Welsh National Opera. So that's between now and the 24th of June. So they alternate. So it's best to look up the website should we be interested in going to see that.
And obviously there's another big event in Cardiff this weekend. We touched on it
there's a little football match, isn't there? Yes.
I think if you want tickets for that, you might have to. 4-figure sums. I read the tickets are changing. Apparently so, changing hands for.
I've got some people from Europe staying with me in one of my establishments, and the agent wanted to post the tickets to me. I said, no, please don't.
It should be interesting to be in Cardiff, though, within the next few days. Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm in Cardiff tomorrow. Take some churches to us.
And there's in Llanelli next week is Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Beautiful Game. Okay. That's talking about football, the beautiful game. And,
perfect segue.
Yes, of course. And something which sounds very interesting up in Ammanford in the mine is Last Tango in Ammanford. so it's got to be a comedy, isn't it? It's got to be a comedy.
There couldn't be a better out than that, really.
That's from the 8th to the 10th of June. So, yes, it's about a gentleman who online flirting, but he's been pretending to be 3 different people.
We look forward to that.
The ladies turn up, yes.
Thank you, Keith. And thank you to all our guests today and to all our other viewers for watching us, especially those who have tuned in for our Talking Pictures afternoon matinee coming up next on Bay TV.
Today, it's the 1965 comedy The Big Job, starring Sid James.
And with that, we'll see you next week. Hope you have a good weekend.